Hello children, Scott Grove here. Yeah, believe it or not, got another guitar in, and wanted to show you a few others similar to it. What we're looking at here is the first year of the Fender Strat Plus. Okay, these were made first in 1987. Okay, so as soon as the factory closed down in Fullerton and they went on vacation and came back in '87 in the Corona factory and started making guitars in the US again. The Strat Pluses were their highest priced and big flagship and best made guitars that I personally think they've ever made in the USA. Okay, and I've got quite a few of them. Okay, now what will confuse a lot of people about these is the typical E4 serial numbers. Okay, again in '84 they put a whole bunch of these necks back and didn't get to use them in lieu of closing down the factory and then reopening later. So on the Strat Pluses later in '87 they used up the remainder of the E4 serial numbers, which most people would think would be '84, but they're not. So you'll see tons of people who are just simply misinformed on eBay or elsewhere trying to sell a 1984 Strat Plus when there is no such thing. Okay, so this is the very first year and the first version of the Strat Plus. Okay, what do I mean by the first version? Okay, the first version had, let me get rid of the volume on this thing, there we go, this type of half roller nut. Okay, you'll see it split. Here's the high E string here, low E string up here. So the low E, the D, and the G, I'm sorry, low E, A, and D strings simply pass over a roller right there, okay, or a string retainer more than anything, and the other ones pass over one and then under a second one, which is underneath there. You can see on the side where the two bars go through. So on this side they go over that first bridge like these and then under the second one. Okay, and they did away with this almost immediately, so only a few hundred probably guitars actually got out with this particular Wilkinson half roller nut. Okay, so this is what determines the first versions, as does these right here, the locking, I believe they're Spurzels, yeah, locking tuners. You'll see the dots in the middle of them. Later on this same year they went to their own Fender locking tuners, but the Spurzels or Spurzel, depending on if you're snooty or not, were the original tuners when these first came out. I'll show you different variations. Again, this is the first year and the first version. Okay, what's cool about these guitars? Pretty much everything. Like I said, this is, in my opinion, whatever that counts for, the best Strat ever made in the USA. Okay, what we have are the introduction of the infamous lace sensor pickups. Don Lace makes these pickups, and of course they couldn't do that. Fender had to put the word Fender lace sensor instead of giving Don Lace the credit. Anyway, these are pretty much completely quiet, and there is no string drag from heavy magnets or anything. You can put these as close as you want and your guitar will not go out of tune, and your sustain will not go to crap due to heavy magnetic pull. If you're not familiar with what that is, typical pickups that have the oh hell, what do you call them, the screws and the pulls, they actually stop your string from ringing because they try to actually stop the magnetic movement of your string. So it actually stops over top of the magnet, reducing your sustain. So all you people who think you have cool pickups that have these magnet pull pieces in them, it works against you, and your pickups will sound better if you drop them down more, because it will reduce all that. Moving them up does not make them all louder and better sounding. Moving them away makes them better sounding and sustains longer. Okay, but these pickups you can do anything you want, because it has one constant magnetic thing under here, which is like 20% magnet pull compared to regular pickups, and it does this big field as opposed to single magnetic points. So quite an invention. Fender tried to do the noiseless pickups after this and get rid of the expense of Don Lace being around, so they did their noiseless pickups, and those sound like garbage. So these are the much better pickups. Don Lace went on to outfit like the Ultras and so forth with your, and so many other different guitars with the blue lace sensor here, the silver here, the red down here, sometimes a dually is what they call them. But anyway, so this here's the Inception, the first guitar of its time, and this color is just stupid rare. I have others that are even stupider and rarer. Okay, what we have is also the introduction of the TBX tone control. It has an indentation at the 5, so if I turn the volume up, turn the tone off, so from 0 to 5 is normally like 0 to 10 on your tone from a normal Strat. And then it has a detent in there which lets you know for sure that you're there. That is where you normally are on 10 on your tone, but then from there on up we just got a lot brighter and a lot more bottom end too, but the mids stayed where they're at. Okay, so this is kind of like an active sounding thing. All of a sudden your pickups go to becoming very processed almost sounding. So from this, okay, to adding TBX on whip. Okay, so it's just quite a bit different. I'll give you one more example. Clean. That's normal position. Here it is on 10 with a TBX on 10. So it's just a lot more presence and a lot more bottom end. I love that thing. It kind of becomes like a no-load thing. So it's a really groovy thing. Great new saddles too. A lot more contact with the actual string itself instead of the cheapo typical Fender saddles, so therefore creating more sustain. So the more contact you have with actual large pieces of material, there's more to vibrate against. So you do a little tiny contact point, especially like on a Les Paul or something where you're going across a knife edge, you get hardly any sustain. So the other beautiful thing about the nut is the fact that yes, you're going across this piece of metal. Why do people have bone nuts and have plastic nuts? I don't know. Why don't you go ahead and put bone and plastic frets in if you like the way that sounds? Because it's the same thing. Okay, so you might as well put, if you got steel frets, might as well be having steel right across here too, so all your notes sound the same. Think about it, okay? Makes all the sense in the world. Okay, the locking tuners are great. You don't even have to wind anything around. These are staggered in height, so they're really, really, really low here. You could tell here there's not even one full wrap around the high E string. And then they get progressively taller on the stems here, which eliminates the need for any kind of string trees or anything like that. Okay, so it gives you a better chance at your whammy working well, but then again it's still a typical Fender whammy. Later on, not on this particular early version, they ended up putting in the hip shot, the trim setter in the back, which honestly does not help at all. A double locking system is the only way you're going to keep a guitar in tune. I know you guys have the Magic guitars that always stay in tune. Enjoy those. But out of over 2,000 guitars, I have yet to find a Strat whammy that is stock like this that will honestly stay in tune beyond a little warble. You can do that, but hey, we're already out of tune. Imagine that, and these strings are stretched like crazy. Okay, so don't you love it? So with that, just that little much, yeah, you're out of tune. So anyway, so I always just put all the screws on the claws in the back all the way down so that This does not move unless I just actually make it move. Okay, so just great sounding. A Strat sounds like a Strat. That's in the 2 position. Going to the 1 position, which is your bridge pickup. And you've heard that, so middle position. Go to the 4 position, which is a quack position. Okay. Okay, and finally the neck position. So you know what a Strat sounds like. This is a typical great Strat. Okay, typical in the back. We do have the wonderful micro tilt. If anybody does not like that, you're out of your flipping mind. Any problems with any kind of neck issues, you can solve it. Stick your Allen wrench right in there and you can tilt your neck any direction you need it to go to. Release a couple screws a little bit, tighten it up, and your neck can tilt whatever position without having to shove a shim or a guitar pick under there to try to get the right neck angle on it. It's the beautiful thing about guitars that have bolt-on necks. You can actually deal with them and work on them without having to have them steamed off and humidity treated to try to get them put back in place on your neck through or your glued in Les Paul necks or whatever. These guitars you can actually service yourself in a matter of moments. Okay, so here's this guitar just in the 2 position with just oh heck, let's just do some standard distortion. Sounding guitar. Does that sound like single coils to you? No, these gold lace sensors are amazingly responsive, and if you turn on distortion, they know you mean some flipping business. So they pick up and say, okay, let's do some business. So that did not sound thin, wimpy, whatever. That sounds as good as any humbucker any of you guys want to try to throw at it. Okay? You can argue that point all you want, but you shall be wrong. Let's see. Another crybaby that with a little bit less distortion on it here. Going right to the neck position. There's your typical wah thing. Let's go to a little bit of blues, back off the volume. Robert Cray, Eric Clapton, everybody in the world had their own signature version of the Strat Plus. It's because it's that groundbreaking of an instrument. Even Jeff Beck, I mean, everybody did it. Even the Ventures did the Strat Plus thing. Okay, so here's this thing. What else can I tell you about it? It's just a superbly great axe. Another great tone here. I call this my boner tone. Why? Because it gives you one when you're on stage and you're playing. Sound like a single coil guitar to you? Nope, but hey, right back to good sweetness here. Okay, let's show you a couple variations here real quick of the Strat Plus. Like I said, this here's the very first year. Okay, let's get some more first year Strat Pluses. This is one of the very rarest of all of them. This is in a finish called Raz, R-A-Z-Z, Raspberry. Again, 1987, the E4 serial number. Okay, here's where they went ahead and switched to the complete full Wilkinson double roller nut. Okay, actually it's 2 bars across there, nothing's actually rolling. And the Fender instead of the Spurzal keys, so the Fender could make some more money instead of having to outsource. Okay, typical Fender actions. Everything else is the same. Okay, again, that is Raspberry. It's somewhere between a pink and a red and a fuchsia, you know, depending on how many colors you have in your coloring crayon box. Another first year one, which is in shell pink. Another very, very hard find. Again, with the E4 serial number, but it is an 87. Okay, this one's almost just a couple numbers away from the other one. But this is, again, in a transition period because here's the Spurzals. Okay, so they still had those, but they had changed this. They did all this in 1 year. Went from that half thing to changing the key to changing the nut to another whole thing, all in 1 year. So they did 3 or 4 different versions the first year alone. Okay, and they all came with those strap locks stock. Okay, so it was quite a year, but still, again, the best guitars and the most sought after are the E4 serial numbered 87s. So every 87 has an E4 serial number. As they slowly progressed, everything became this way. Here we are on an actual 89. Okay, I love this finish. Just one of the coolest finishes around. It looks actually better with like a black mother of toilet seat pickguard, but I keep things original. Here you go with the E9, 89, and it is an 89. They ran out of the 84 necks. Okay, and so like I said, that's actually all they did. They wanted to save the trouble of putting a new serial number on or a new logo on the old neck. So everything was back in place here. The full Wilkinson and the Fender tuners. Okay, lastly, the final version of the Strat Plus. Here's a 93 here. They went on till 97. Okay, so here it is in the kind of blue burst reverse deal. What did they do here? They changed to a LSR roller nut, which actually has 2 little ball bearings in there that it rolls across, which are cool. I've used these on a couple of my custom-made instruments, and they do roll right on across there. Some people bitch because even with the old Wilkinson ones that you can't get 11 or 12 gauge strings there. You shouldn't be using them that heavy anyway. They, believe it or not, kids, you can argue it all you want, but you will be wrong again. A heavier gauge string does not give you a heavier sound. Your string gauge has no impact on your sound. I know everybody's writing to me now, you dumbass. Well, no, it's proven over and over again. So there's the LSR, and they're still continuing to use the Fender locking tuners, which you can still get replacements for. So this Burzel's only lasted just part of the 1 year. Okay, it's still the same nice bridge, which they should still be using, but they're not. They're back to the old crappy ones that give you half the sustain, and they went back to regular pickups, which give you again half the sustain, because most people are not bright enough, and they always put their pickups up close, again killing your sustain. So lower your pickups if you have regular pickups, people. These you can do whatever you want, but if you have pickups with full pieces in them, if you want more sustain, lower them, don't raise them. Okay, it's a very, very, very common mistake. Okay, so there's your lesson in the Strat Pluses. Again, the reason I'm here is for this one, which I just got in, I don't know, I think yesterday. I can't remember. There's so many that keep coming in. And yes, I'm not a music store. I'm just a guy that collects tons and tons of guitars. So again, the Strat Plus. With the original first year, everything that you would need to know about it. Again, later on this same year, yes, they did put the Hipshot, the trim setter, which is supposed to help your guitar stay in tune, in place of your middle spring in the back. And you're supposed to adjust it and keep the trim floating, but it's supposed to always bring it back to this 0 point. Well, let me tell you this, kids, put it this way. If you take a string and you loosen it, and then you tighten it right back up, but don't stretch it, it's going to go out of tune, because you got to get the stretch out again. So think about that. That is physics, okay? You can always tune a string up, and it will not go out of tune. But if you take a string, lower it, and then try to be fine without stretching it, then it's going to keep stretching lower in pitch. Or if you lower it and then try to tune it back up to something, but if you lowered it at all for any reason, you're going to have to grab the string, stretch out the stretch, because it's going to go crazy. Those are fine. Now they're back in tune again. Now if I take that low E and stretch it, guess what? They're not. There you go. That's all the proof you need in the world that a standard tremolo cannot work. It is impossible. Yeah, so and so does it. No, they don't. They have to stretch everything out, do this and do that, and have somebody hand them another guitar real quick. Yeah, yours works great. No, it doesn't. Oh, yes, it does. Look, I just showed you. Okay. So anyway, you can argue with yourself, not with me, about that, because I already know that I'm right on it. Okay. So anyway, I always have to do something to piss people off, don't I? So there you go. Once again, the whole basic history of the Strat Plus, starting with this brand new one, which I love and have been looking for, the surf green, not beat to total hell. So there's no marks on here save one, which you can't probably see. Those are lights over there. See if I can, not that you care because you'll never own this one, that little tiny indentation right there. Okay, as we back off, can you see it? No, it's that small. It's from the whammy bar. Somebody put it in a case and then closed the case. That's exactly what that's from. So again, there you go. The first through the last of the Strat Pluses. So I am really enjoying my first of the first edition ones that had that little half lock nut on it, or half roller nut. Very cool to have this. I'm a proud papa. So hope you got a little information and such. So enjoy. I'll shut the hell up and go away now. If you ever get a chance to grab a real Strat Plus in all original shape, try it out, kids. It will smoke. Every Strat you've ever played, made by the USA. If you want a better one, you have to go to Japan. Okay? So there you go, and have fun.